Hello, Jamie here, just diving in before this episode. If you're here every week and you want to support the show, then check out our Patreon. You get ad-free feed, you get weekly green room after shows and Q&A episodes where your questions help shape the conversation. There's a few different layers depending on how much you love it, but the link's in the show notes. Have a look. Enjoy the show. Welcome to NeedleXChange, the stories behind the stitches. My name's Jamie Chalmers, aka Mr. X-Stitch, and today I'm interviewing Iskren Lozanov. Iskren is an embroidery artist living in Ibiza, originally from Bulgaria, who is a multiple award-winning artist, having taken prizes in both the Mr. X-Stitch Contemporary Needlework Prize and the Hand and Lock Prize. This is the second part of our NeedleXChange, and we pick up with what's next for Iskren's practice, including using everyday objects, his hopes for collaboration, and how his techniques can be applied to, well, pretty much everything. We also get practical about what it is to make a living in the field that he works in, brand work versus artwork, a nice bit of self-care, and, as always, because it's the second part of our chat, we talk about his cultural favourites and a brilliant fact about the Spice Girls that's worth hanging on in there for. I hope you enjoy the show. Iskren was a lovely man to talk to, a very talented individual, and it was a total pleasure. If you have enjoyed this show, feel free to leave us a review on your favourite podcasting platform, as that helps get this under the ears and noses of other people. I'll be back next week with somebody else from the world of Stitch. But until then, enjoy! So you've done two pieces that kind of explore the concepts of rebirth as like a societally produced image. It's like you've crowdsourced those pieces, haven't you? Because you've taken elements in these different historical, social contexts. And now you've made your own version. You've put your own entry in the piece. That's interesting. Where do you think you're going next?
Well, I really want to continue with that series, explore more objects, use maybe everyday objects, upcycled objects that I found in flea markets, and or maybe even work with other artists. I would love to do a collaboration with maybe some other sculpture that are working with metal or marble or stone, and do something together. I think it will be a nice, interesting dialogue from their work and my work, and their material and my textile embroidery technique.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see, actually, because I think there's always a risk, isn't there, when you use found objects, that it all feels a little bit like GCSE recycled art project or something, whereas I guess you're trying to be more transcendent than that.
Yeah, exactly. But, I with my project Rebirth, inside the piece, there is an upcycled body, and the veil of transcendence, inside the piece, there is this upcycled head. But I give them a new meaning, so...
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how, like, what you can do with everyday objects, whether there are ways that you can, beautify them, like disconnect them from the things that we think of them and turn them into pieces. And, even on like a micro level, even when you're looking at the types of things you're using for beads and for those kind of structures or whatever, whether you can kind of evolve that.
Yeah, and I think it gives me, it gives me some kind of freedom, because now with this technique, I can apply it in any object, actually. And for example, if I want to make a vase, so I have to know how to do it work with glass or with ceramics. And like this, I just take that object that somebody throw, or I upcycle it, and I make my own vase.
Yeah, that's cool. We've got with the art gallery I'm opening. So it used to be a clothes shop, Dorothy Perkins and Burton's 2-floor. And when the overarching company went out of business, so basically everybody just left the shop in 2021. They just closed the shop. Everybody was fired, that sort of thing. So we've ended up with a lot of legacy things. But and we've got rid of most of it because you can't do much. But one thing we've got is a bucket full of, on coat hangers, the little square things that say what the size of the clothes are. Got about 5,000 of those. They're just say small, medium, or large, just little black plastic squares with those on. And I keep sitting there thinking, there's got to be something we can do with those, We've got like 4,000 coat hangers, but there's not a lot you can do with 4,000 coat hangers, I don't think. But I do like the idea of like maybe there's a way we can elevate some of these things. So, here we go. So, if a piece of work takes 700 hours to make, how do you make a living?
Well, I have now this my brand that I'm focused usually in the summer to sell. I make this unique tops and bras and accessories that are actually really popular to people who go to those big festivals like Burning Man.
Okay.
And yeah, so I sell them here in Ibiza in different locations, like shops or markets or even a villa parties. So it's nice to see how people connect with real life on them. And yeah, I'm now working in doing a more casual collection for everyday wear, because a lot of time people ask me that they want piece with embroidery that they can wear every day, not just some special occasion or festival. So yeah, I'm working on that now, and I'm doing some collaborations with some other brands, which is really excited. And yeah, since I'm doing my sculpture pieces, I really hope to extend my commission work, not only my fashion pieces.
Right. And are those two creative strands, do they exist separately in your head? Are there any kind of crossovers? Is it quite clear that the stuff that is like your branded work is one voice and your sculpture work's another voice?
For now, there are two voices, because first I started with the brand, and the line there, it's different from the line with my artwork, but they start now to cross over. And I think because with fashion, I try to be more commercial, because for fashion it's important the sale. So, and people like different things. Art, it's a little bit more hard to digest, let's say. But in some point, I think very soon they just gonna merge.
And I guess you're kind of making slow fashion, aren't you? Because I guess are you making the pieces yourself? You can't mass produce and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's a slight market of one. What would you say to somebody who has found themselves in a situation like yours, where they're doing big pieces of work because that's the work that they're ending up making? How do you get through hour number 350, where you're just like, oh, quite bored of this right now. I've still got a long way to go. You got any tips?
Well, I actually never feel bored. I think I can stay for hours at home just doing embroidery. So maybe if somebody have a blockage, I would just give him an advice to be more curious, or to experiment more, because the best ideas come when you do mistakes and try new things. Or if he has like a burnout, then I can give some other recommendations, like like for me, I never had like artistic burnout, but because maybe I live in Ibiza, so here the life is really slow.
Just going to see, kind of listen to some chill out music.
Yeah, when I have very productive day, I go. I make a walk in the afternoon. I just watch the sea and stare at the sea, or watch a sunset. I live 10 minutes away from the sea, so I'm really lucky. And yeah, for burning out, reading and meditation and practicing yoga, this kind of healthy activities, they disconnect you and recharge you again.
Yeah, bit of self-care, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I also do a lot of hikes in winter. We have this tradition with friends. We go in the mountain every weekend. So
I was just thinking, I don't know if you've got a YouTube chat. Maybe you can record some of the nice walks you go out. So for those of us who live quite far away from a nice sea, we could just watch your video and it'll have the same effect. You just stand and look at the sea for 10 minutes on a YouTube video, and then we'll just be like, there it is. That sea in a piece. I like it. But
you can do that in this big city. I mean, you can go in the park, or if you live in a small city, then you have the country yard and the nature really close. So
yeah,
you can always connect to nature.
Stop and smell the roses, whatever kind of roses are. I like it a lot. I think I'm going to ask you about your favorite things now, because you touched on reading good books, and it feels like that's a smooth segue to get into it. So, yeah, tell me about your favorite books.
Well, I think I have few favorite books. My favorite is maybe God and Kings, The Rise and Fall of Alexander McQueen and John Galliano.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been always my two favorite designers. And reading the book was really emotional and also really inspiring. It reminds me how thin the line between brilliance and burnout can be, and how harsh sometimes the fashion industry is. I really love that book, and it's a little bit like a autobiography, which I love. For example, the autobiography of Van Gogh.
Right.
It's a very interesting book. And then another book I read recently was The Creative Act.
Rick Rubin. Nice.
Yeah, really inspiring book.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the way he speak about creating as a process, that it's available for everybody, not just the artist. And he writes kind of honest, simple and honest, but very profound. So I really love that book. Another book that love and I have to start reading now. It's a series of 9 book of Carlos Castaneda. I don't know if you know the.
Yeah.
Ring a bell?
Yeah, kind of. Go on, carry on.
So the first book, it's the Teachings of Don Juan, and it's a series of 9 books, and each book has its different name. So he writes about these shamanic teachings that he learned from a Yaqui sorcerer named Don Juan, and he studied about plants, if I'm not wrong, and he wanted to write books about plants. And he goes to Mexico, where he started to learn, where he met this Don Juan, and he started to learn those teachings. So the book is all about this perception of and this unseen energy, and yeah, it's really interesting. They both take peyote and smoke mushrooms, and then have these experiences. And the wild thing is that when you read the book, you think that it's not real and it's
fiction.
Fiction, yeah, but it's actually true. And they're 9 books, so I just finished the 6th, and I have to start the other 3.
Excellent. I like that. Do you listen to Rick Rubin's podcast?
No, actually, no.
Yeah,
I have not regularly. I have listened to a few podcasts, but not really. I'm not that much into podcasts. I sometimes have those periods where I listen to yours.
Thank you.
Welcome. But and others, I listen also the Star Talks.
Okay.
I really like, and I listen to some podcast about meditation and these practices, and yeah, I'm usually more into music.
Yeah, Rick Rubin's, his podcasts are interesting, but it does kind of depend on the guest, I think. And I have found lately, to be honest, I don't listen to him as much as I used to, but I'm pretty sure the audio version of the Creative Act, I think he's reading that, which is pretty much the sweet spot, isn't it? Because he's quite a sort of considered guy in the way he talks and all that sort of thing, isn't he? He is quite a bonkers dude, it has to be said. So then, music then, you've wandered straight into the music territory. Let's do it. You live in Ibiza. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, of course, I love electronic music. I listen to a lot of music, actually. I have different favorite bands and styles of music. But for me, music and creating go hand in hand. So when I'm creating, I'm all the time listening to music. And mostly I do it on Spotify, where I have these different channels. For example, depends on my mood, like classical music or jazz or bossa nova. Now I'm more into these new modern bands that are more like indie psychedelic vibe. I'm obsessed now with few bands that I listen all the time. Glass Beams,
Okay.
Common Saints, Hermanos Gutierrez. All of their music, it's really great. If you can listen to some of their albums, it's really, really good music.
Do you do that? Because I don't really Spotify, right? But do you do that thing where at the end of the year they tell you like your review of the year? Is that quite interesting to you? Because it's probably a bit of a documentary of where your head's been at, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really nice mix of different styles. Yeah.
That's quite cool. That's quite cool. I mean, but they're saying when you were making your pieces, are there certain types of music, do you associate like a certain genre of music with a certain piece, or is it because it takes so very long that kind of doesn't work?
Well, as I told you, like I'm mostly into instrumental music now. So the music just helped me go with the flow of creating. And I think instrumental music really help.
And I guess, is the embroidery, I know that you've got a plan and it's quite deliberate, but is that a form of meditation for you?
Of course, yeah. I think everybody who is doing embroidery is saying that it's kind of meditation. Just step into other state of mind.
Do you ever because I used to say to people, even when you were doing cross stitch, I was like, it's quite useful to have like a notebook next to you and just, if ideas bubble to the surface, to kind of write them down, let them get out of the way. And it's almost like you can just process what's going on because you're concentrating on this other bit. Do you do any of that kind of sort of deliberate stuff?
Not really. Usually my idea comes in bed. Just before sleeping, just before I fell asleep, some ideas come. And if I'm lucky enough, I remember in the morning.
Yeah. Books. So films. Tell me about films you like.
Again, with the films, I'm with the music. I like many different genres. So I have some favorite directors. For example, I love the movies of Wes Anderson. His storytelling and the colors feels like perfectly crafted artwork. And then another Spanish director that really love is Pedro Almodovar. His movies are all about the passion and human relationships. I'm sure you have watched some of those. It's hard.
They're fairly hot, aren't they? Penelope Cruz is in an awful lot of them, right?
Yeah, usually. Yeah. He'll have these actresses that he likes to work with, and they're usually Rosy de Palma, for example, that is great. So I really love his movies. I think I've watched all of them, and it's hard to choose just one. And I'm a really big fan of Studio Ghibli. And so, yeah, I really love watching those movies. Just the world that this is described is full of my imagination. So all the stories so different from our European view,
I was talking to someone the other day who was from Slovakia, and she was saying about fairy tales and about how the Slovakian culture is quite embedded in folklore, and a lot of it to do with like things in the woods and those kind of things. There's a certain darkness to it, or is that the same with Bulgaria?
Yeah, I think our folklore is quite similar with the other Eastern European countries and Russia. Yeah, it's all connected with the woods and these monsters or Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga, yeah. Somewhere I've got a little house. I got it years ago, just a little sort of felted house with chicken legs on it. It usually just runs around the house.
We call Baba Yaga house with the chicken.
I love that. Before I ask the last question, I did want to ask you something which sort of occurred to me, and in a way I wasn't going to talk about it, but you're a guy and you're doing needlework, and I don't know, it feels to me as though because you've been involved in the world of fashion, there's less of a jarringness between the societally says it's female tradition of needlework and your position as a guy doing it. But I'm interested in your take on that, just to see how you feel about it.
About what exactly? Can you repeat?
Being a man in a woman's world, he says it's not like that, but you know what I mean.
I feel great. I think that our community, the embroidery community, it's so warm and accepting, and we help each other. I think, especially now, so easy connected with all the social media. So help each other a lot. it's not very easy to share ideas and resources. And I'm actually lucky enough to be in these WhatsApp groups with maybe other 400 embroiderers.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really nice community to share ideas, and yeah, it's very helpful.
I bet that thing is never quiet. Is it 400 other needleworkers in a WhatsApp
Yeah, this
group?
is because I'm part of Head and Lock winners and also Head and Lock students, and we have these two groups, and
Wow.
it's all the time.
That's a bit like when you find out that, Strictly Come Dancing have all got WhatsApp groups together and you're like, I wish I was in a part of that. That's cool. That must be quite... I mean, it's nice as well, actually, because, you're comparatively new to the scene. So in some ways, you have come at a time when the world of needlework is fairly broad-minded. You've not had to go through all the cliches that some of us have had to go through.
Yeah, but that was a thing back in the days. Now people are very accepting and more open-minded. So I don't feel any weird that I do embroidery.
That's cool. Right then, is there an interesting fact that not a lot of people know about Iskren Lozanov?
Well, actually, yeah, there are a few. I will tell you one.
Come on.
Back then, when I was very young, in the 90s, I think I was the biggest fan of Spice Girls in Bulgaria. I was obsessed in a way that I was collecting everything, like everything that was released in newspapers and magazine. I was collecting and putting in one folder that my mother brought me from UK, and the folder was with Spice Girls again. So I have all of my room, all the four walls completely covered with wallpapers of Spice Girls. So this is something that nobody knows, only some friends and relatives that been at home.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. That's a very interesting. So how did that come? Was it just you saw Wannabe and it was instant?
Yeah. I remember the first day I heard Wannabe. It was at my best friend that lives upstairs, and we were listening to MTV. It was a big thing back then in the 90s. So yeah, I remember they released the song and I really loved it. And then I have all the cassettes and I listen to them all the time. So
you got a favorite Spice Girl?
Yeah, of course. I think every true fan of Spice Girls has mine was Jerry.
Okay. Yeah. It's quite funny, right? So my daughters are 6 and 8. And they sort of know the Spice Girls. They know, sometimes they'll sing "If You Want to Be My Lover," but they've not really seen the video. We've never really shown it, but they kind of know that there's this song. And now Jerry Halliwell's started writing children's books, and loads of celebrities are doing it. But my daughter Flora, she read this one called Rosie Frost, and she was like, she's absolutely brilliant. Really loved it. She read it in 3 days because that's the kind of thing she does. And then we were like, that that was written by this person. And she was just her mind just blew when we were trying to explain to her the connection between Zigga Zigga Ha and Rosie Frost. And she was just like, oh my God, doesn't make any sense. It's so funny because, they're all still doing stuff kind of, aren't they?
Yeah. Especially Victoria Beckham with her fashion line. And
yeah. You wouldn't have had that pegged in some ways at the start, would you? That she would be the one who went on to be the best of them all, depending on how you measure it or whatever. I was always quite happy. I think Baby Spice just kind of settled down a bit, didn't she? Has become happily married and that kind of thing. You're just like,
Yeah. I think all of them now are happily married, no?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know about Jerry Halliwell's husband. Doesn't seem to be the greatest guy in the world. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're all doing well. That's cool. That's a great story. I once as well. So I've got a kid sister. She's not a kid anymore. She's 20 years younger than me. And when I was at uni in London, she must have been about 4 or 5, and she liked the Spice Girls at the time, because this is probably when, to be honest, I think I had Spice World on CD. No, the Spice Girls album on CD. So it was that time. So hang on, I can peg this. This is 1995, I want to say. Somehow I managed to get a cardboard cutout of Victoria Beckham singing with a microphone, right? And I lived in London and she was in Bedford, and I managed to get it, and I took it on the train all the way home from London to Bedford. It's me and Victoria Beckham, this cardboard thing that I wanted to give to her. And I was so chuffed because she liked the Spice Girls so much. But the problem was she was quite little. she might have been like 5 or something. So when this giant version of Victoria Beckham suddenly appears in her bedroom, she just burst into tears, and then I had to take it away with me because she couldn't handle it because it was just too weird. And
it's just scared her.
Yeah, honestly, because it was like life size or something. I just remember carrying it home on the train, just being like, "Oh, everybody, yeah, it's posh spice."
That would be interesting to see.
Probably be wear something now. I don't know. That was funny. Iskren, thank you for having a needle exchange with me.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me. It was been a pleasure, really. Thank you so much.
Hello, Jamie here. If you've made it this far, you are exactly the kind of listener that needs to know about our Patreon scheme. If you want to help keep NeedleXChange going and get more from it, you can join as a member. With our Backstage Pass level, you get the ad-free private RSS feed, and you get that warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing that you're helping NeedleXChange remain free so that other people can enjoy it. In our Green Room layer, you get all of that, plus a weekly 10 to 12 minute after show. Oh yeah, bonus content. And you can submit questions to our forthcoming Q&A episodes. And if you want to go all the way, our executive producer, Leia, adds a quarterly patron-only group show. Imagine 4 different machine embroidery artists talking with each other about the medium they love. Oh yes, we can make that happen. You also get your name on the producer wall. Just head to patreon.com/xstitch or tap the link in the show notes. Your support will keep NeedleXChange going and make it so that we can really celebrate this medium that we love. Thank you for helping. I'll see you soon.